everybody, Lee Scott here. Thank you for watching and or listening to this week's episode of Leading with Lee. I'm super excited because you are here today to talk about life, leadership, and legacy and be impacted in a significant way. Today, if you have not done it yet, go and subscribe to Leading on YouTube and on all podcasting platforms and get last year's episodes of Leading, and hopefully we can start seeing this year's episode in the podcast form. But today I have a very special guest. Most people know him as a Motivational Dre. My friend Andre Walker is on here. He's an entrepreneur. He is a podcaster. He's a motivator and low-key a model out in these streets. This man got clients out here. He out here on ads. You know what I'm saying? But please welcome Andre Walker. What's up, Dre?
What's up? How's it going?
Good, man. Good. So thank you for coming on and being part of this episode of Leading. I just want to kind of jump right in. So let's just kind of talk about your background. Are you born and raised in St. Louis?
Born and raised, St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay. So let's talk about growing up for you. What was that like growing up in St. Louis? Y'all just elected a new mayor.
We did. Yeah. Yeah, we did. Deshaun Jones. It's been a run. You know, a lot of people that from the city, a lot of individuals that know our history, they know how monumental this moment is. So we're super excited for the direction that the city is going in as a whole. So I'm super excited.
Great. So talk to me a little bit about just this year for you. You know, you're a business owner. You have your hands in so many different things. You know, you and I got connected through Black Christian influencers, but you're out here doing different things and motivating people and encouraging people. What has business been like for you up until this point this year, and what are some of the things you've been working on?
Yeah, I would say business has been, I'm going to just go with the middle approach. You know, nothing has been great, but nothing has been, I have not lacked. You know, I think that when the pandemic hit last year in March, I thought that, where everybody was going to need marketing dollars now because they need to get in front of more people. And to a certain extent, a lot of clients did, but then also a lot of clients, they hit me up. Hey, Dre, we really have to adjust our budgets. So for me, in the space that I operate in the most, when it comes to marketing, and as you mentioned, acting and modeling, that was non-existent, you know? So for me, it was like, okay, you got to start thinking creatively. How can you have that paradigm shift where you still can provide for your family and friends? And so for me, I would say that, you know, God provided. He did what he did best. You know, I did not miss a meal. You know, I did not lack anything up. I think it was a challenge. And he challenged me, if I'm talking to me personally, to be more creative. And he got me into a space where he said, hey, you know, what you've done so far has gotten you to this place where now you're well off, you're this and that, but you have to prepare for the next season. And I'm so glad that happened, because now I've been able to get to a place where I had to become a better leader. I know we talk about leading, and that's what you literally are mastering and have mastered and teach so many individuals. But literally he challenged me to become a better leader in that space.
That's good. You said something that I thought was key, is that having to expand. I think a lot of people don't realize the necessity of gaining skills at this particular moment. Like, one thing I think that we have to reflect on as it relates to the pandemic or what has been happening in our country and culture right now is, if we don't take responsibility in these moments that we have to gain stuff, we can miss moments, right? Yes. And so I think you picked up something that was key, and I think it's awesome that you've done that. So talk to me a little bit more about that, because what are some ways in which you have expanded? Because there may be somebody watching or listening, they'll hear this and say, oh, well, you know, that's cool for you, Dre. You know, how have you maneuvered? What are some things that you have done over this last year, or even up until this point this year, to actually move you into the direction that you want to move into?
Yeah. So you touched on a good point. You talked about you know, how we kind of had to make different moves. Let's just say that's topic, making different moves. And for me, to be honest, last year, and you may have noticed this, I know some of my other friends have noticed, I took a shift and I said, okay, God, for the longest, I was like in this place where I was like, oh, I only can have one income, like this one job or this one thing. Right. And so many individuals, I think how many had 65 million individuals that lost jobs. Well, they learn like, wait a minute, you're one paycheck away from $0. Yes. And so the first shift for me happened to be, I need to learn about the financial industry. I need to learn about how is money made, how is it moved, how can I be a part of it? And so the first thing that I did, I started to get more deeper into like stocks, not just like just the Robinhood base level. I mean, I want to be invested on a weekly, monthly basis. I started to talk to my financial advisor about instead of just looking long-term with the Roth IRA, 401k, how can I be a little more shorter term? How can I get into investing opportunities with trading? And so I explored that whole world of the financial world. Then after I expanded the financial world, I then got into the place where I said, okay, you know, you need to keep expanding your brain cells, expanding your memory, expanding your knowledge. And so I started reading every single day, because my thing is, a lot of times we look at this book that has 350 pages and we're like, oh man, like, shoot, and we never start. We never do, because we look at the big picture. But what I did is, and I can show you my house, like over here, over here, you see how my calendar and everything, and you know, I keep everything, you know, by the books. I said, you know what, Dre, 350 pages is only one page a day. Yeah. And so I took that mindset, you know, I took that mindset, and I said, so what if you just did one chapter a day? And last year I was able to go through, I think most I've ever been able to go through 23 books. Wow. Between leadership, between financial development, between personal development. I never in my life thought I would read 23 books in 1 year. But again, I changed my mindset. And so I think to that point, a lot of times we just have to change the way we're looking at things, change what perception is for that reality. And I mean, we really can achieve anything.
Wow. That's so good. You're staying in the vein, especially with trying to, I love what, well, let me say this. I love what you said about actually looking at it as a smaller thing. I think people struggle with that. Yeah. You know, if you ask any person about the goals that they want to accomplish, they're saying, well, I want to be here, but it takes so many steps to get to that place. And I think that's really good, Dre, to remind people that it's much smaller. So kind of staying in the vein, you have figured out how to expand yourself. You figured out how to diversify yourself. How is that all tying into what you do with Motivational Dre? Because that's how I know you, right? You know, I know you through your posts and different things like that. And how did this brand thing become a thing for you? Like, how did you get into that?
Yeah, so I mean, to be honest, it started in college. Before the name, before everything, it started in college, you know, because I believe all of us deep down, we can develop skills and we can definitely change who we are, but deep down, there's something already inside of you that just needs to be released. That purpose was in you when you were born. You just got to find it, and then you have to choose to share it with the world. And so I think that it was always in me, but in college, I was the captain of my track team. And so, you know, as a captain, you know, I wasn't the fastest. So I was the captain.
Hey, at least you're honest, dog. At least you're honest.
Captain because of the leadership, not because of the skill. Right. And granted, I mean, I was D1 college, you know, so I had some talent, but you know, there are people faster. And so, but I had to lead the team. I was a captain. And so I decided I said, you know what? We're going towards the championship. So that means we got to change. You can't do the same thing and expect different results. We didn't win a championship my first 2 years. Well, I'm the captain this year. We're going to win a championship. And so I said, my part may not be able to be done on the track. I may not score points, but guess what? I can encourage the individuals that are going to score points. I can push them to their limits mentally. And so what I did was I started posting every single day on Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook. I made a post on my story, and I literally was just having inspirational. Every time we came to every day of practice, I had a new quote. Every day, you know, it was just something to keep the team going. And from there, my team was like, you're so motivational, and then they said, you know what, Motivational Dre. And one of my teammates said it, and it stuck. Cool. I said, you know what, we're going to ride with that. And so I graduated. We ended up winning the championship. I graduated and got to a place where I was like, you know what, man, I felt good when I was inspiring others. I felt good. And from that, I just started doing some YouTube videos, which I thought were absolutely horrible. Now I look back now. But, you know, I had this mindset, and God put this in my heart at a very young age, and I'm so glad that he did, was that what if I can just touch one person? You know, I think nowadays with social media, everybody wants to touch 10,000, wants to touch 1 million. But God put this in my heart way back when he said, Drake, what if your goal was just to speak to one person, and that one person that you didn't know I had planted there was to speak to the million? Yeah. And that's what changed my perspective. And so every day I wake up and I say, you know what? I need to grow. I need to, as a leader and as a person, because I may speak to that one person that God called to speak to 1 million. And so that's kind of like the Motivational Dre, you know, the goal and why, you know. Why?
Listen here, sir. That's on the money. That's so healthy. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, like Dre, what you got at, especially with realizing that you may not necessarily be the person that goes and speaks to the millions, but you may be the person that speaks to the person that speaks to the millions. That takes a level of humility, but also takes a level of an awareness of the value of your words and the value of your impact. I don't know if I don't know if I've shared this on leading or I was having a conversation with somebody. You made me think about how one of the big realities we don't think about when we look at professions is a lot of times when we talk about things like the presidency in comparison to something like being a superstar singer. Singers sit up there and sing in front of thousands of people every single week.
What?
But when we talk about the president, there's probably 20 people at most in that room when he or she is making a decision. But it's affecting millions of people. So it's about the perspective. And I think that's what you were getting. And I think that's so good. It's about the perspective about what it is that you're doing. And I think that's so good, Dre. And I hope people will be motivated to realize that they can make those type of decisions. So what are some of the things that you have done? You talked about how you had to, look at the financial sector, look at some other ways to make money. How are you using your image? Because one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is, especially in the space of influencers, right? People's image makes them money. So how have you monetized or made yourself, even though you're called Motivation Dre, but how have you made Dre the brand more marketable, or Dre the brand? Have you expanded your portfolio to be impactful in that way?
Yeah, and it's so funny. I don't have it on my website right now. I wish I did, but I actually created eight. What was it called? It was 8 ways to develop a dominant personal brand. And if you need it, I'll send a link out for your audience and things like that.
Please do. Please
Yeah,
do.
most definitely. But through that document, and basically this is my story. How I did it is I talked through one. And I'll give you a few of them really quick. One, you got to get to know who you are personally. So you got to get to know who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, and then what value can you add to the world? That's one. Number two is after you figure out that value, okay, work the skills, work on it, develop it, get better, get better, get better. 3, plug into a community, a group of people. Because my thing is, what good is, a lot of people, I hear them and they're like, well, I'm just not a social media person, or I'm just not this, or I'm just not that. And I'm not saying you have to be an influencer, but what I'm saying is, if I have this skill inside that God put into me to share with the world, and I never go do, then that's a waste. It's just sitting there, a wasted talent. And so for me, it's like, hey, I tell people, the easiest way is get into a Facebook group, go and get with a community organization, with the church, plug in, and then add that value.
Yeah.
Where I really got started, and I'll go a little bit off tangent real quick with marketing, because that's something else that I do, marketing strategy. Well, my church needed help, and I plugged in with them, and I said, hey, don't pay me. I'm going to just I'm going to build the website. I'm going to go ahead and do all these things. I did that, and that opened up 5 doors. I have over 25 clients now from my church. Wow. I don't have to market on social media anymore about my business. That because of one free for church, And so I tell people, like, getting plugged in, and then from there, I of course use social media to really start forming that brand. And so when it comes to the inspiration, when it comes to the videos, I have the organization Man Up. I then started, creating my own kind of pockets where it's like, okay, hey, first I plugged in, I learned how these things operate. Then I started creating my own spaces where now it's like I have a little more control. And so it was really, really, cool to be able to kind of like form that brand, because at the end of the day, I tell people this all the time about social media and about life. Think about social media, life. If you don't, because of where we live, I know it may suck, but if you don't tell people what you're here to do, they're going to just tell you, or they're going to assume.
Oh yeah, that's the truth.
And so that's all I have. I mean, basically, I tell my people all the time. I said, because people, they get mad, like, well, they tell you, I said, well, you haven't told the world what you do.
Exactly. That's so funny, because literally I was having a conversation with a friend of mine what was it? I think it was either yesterday or 2 days ago. Literally, I had this conversation and I told him about a video that I always reference. There's this lady, her name is Annie F. Downs. She's a speaker and a writer, and she's located in Nashville. And have you ever heard of Q Ideas?
I can't say I have.
Okay, Q Ideas is this organization that basically they host a lot of speakers and people to talk about kind of the intersectionality between faith and social issues. And she was sharing this particular piece, and this later I watched this maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but it has stuck with me for years. She talks about people having a thesis for their lives.
Hmm.
And I thought it was so profound because one of the things that she drives home in that video and then in sharing that is that when it comes to have a thesis for your life, you realize that like this thesis doesn't change, or my job can.
Hmm.
And I am who I am in any space. To your point, Dre, if people figure out who they are, first and foremost, it doesn't matter if they're the CEO of the company or an entry-level employee, they will operate at the level of their capacity because they know who they are. And they're not being defined by their work. I saw something this morning, and I'm going to try to find it real quick.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because, yeah, I mean, everybody know who Simon Sinek is. Everybody loves Simon. But it's something he said this morning that I thought was, or I posted about it. He and I'm gonna take the airplane mode, but he posted something this morning that I thought was really, 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 really powerful. And he talked, and it's basically about leadership. And I thought it was so interesting. He says, a leader without a title is better than a title without the ability to lead.
Hmm.
This brother trying to listen. That's the one person I want to personally meet because that dude. Anyways, that's whole side. But I thought that was so powerful because what he's getting at is people are defining themselves by other people's validation, which you were getting at, Dre. People are trying to be validated by folks who don't care about them, who really don't care. So let's stay in that vein because I think you're getting at something that's super, super heavy for people. How do you push past that? Because it's hard out here, man. People want to be accepted. How do you push past that feeling or desire to want to be accepted or want people to validate what you do?
I mean, in all honesty, because I used to say, like, the cliche answer, like, oh, don't care people. We always say, don't worry about what they say, this and that. We're humans. We care. Let's stop saying that.
Exactly.
So for me, I had to get back more into the psyche of what makes us feel that way. And I realized that it ultimately is coming from a lack of what is the word? Self-love, self-awareness. I mean, ultimately, it's like, because and even before that, it's because you don't know who you are. We spend so much time on social media, so much time talk in these spaces with these people, looking at their lives, praising them and all this stuff, that we want to be like them. You're like, wait a minute, who even are you? And I think that for me personally, I mean, that's one person I can really speak about. I had to get to that place where I got away from the media, from all the highlight reels and all the nonsense. And I said, Dre, at the end of the day, when you look at your life, and I made a post about this the other day, and I said it's only 2 people in this life that you need to impress. I don't know if you saw this, but I made this post, and I said 2 people in this life need to be impressed. And some of my friends, when I had this conversation with them, they were like, what? My parents, my this and that. I said, you need to be able to impress the 7-year-old you and the 70-year-old you. And that's it. And with that, I'll break it down a little more. The 7-year-old you, when you were a young kid, you had dreams, you had aspirations, you had this imagination, and you were like, I would like to be this, I would like to be that. With that 7-year-old you, at today, be like, you know what? I went after it. I'm going after it. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to get up. I'm going to, not make excuses. I'm going to do this. The 70-year-old you, you're 70. You're getting close to that time where things are slowing down. You got maybe have grandkids, but maybe your life is coming, life expectancy, maybe coming closer to an end.
Yeah.
Are you able to look back today? Think about that 7-year-old you. Are you able to look back and say, I left it all out there. No regrets. I went for it. I knew life was short. So I said, you know what, why not try rather than just make, and so that is what it comes down to. It's like, but both of those ends, you have to learn about what you want though. Because at 70, when you're on your deathbed, what everybody else said and did does not matter anymore.
Yep.
So you got to say, did I live my life the way it was supposed to be lived? And that's where I come from. When I think about that and what I want, man, it has come from me looking in the mirror and saying, Dre, man, okay, now this is you. This is you. What do you need and want for your life to look like when you leave Earth? Like, what do you want people to be able to say about you at your funeral? About you, not about what they want to hear, about you, and so when you start taking on that mindset, and then you apply the self-love, which is you actually make it actionable and you go do it, then I think you get to this place where, hey, yeah, y'all want to live this lifestyle going out every weekend doing this and that, but guess what? That no longer aligns with the 70-year-old me where I want to be. So guess what? I'm not doing that anymore. And now the noise doesn't speak to me because I don't speak that language. Now you're speaking a foreign language to me. So
first of all,
yeah.
that was good. That was so good. The 7-year-old you and the 70-year-old you. I mean, that is so tweetable. I need you to tweet that like 1700. Just at the end of every post, put 770. Just start doing that at the end of every post to keep us in the frame of thinking about what is 7-year-old Lee gonna experience or what 70-year-old Lee is thinking about when he looks back at his life, or Dre, or anybody else that listens or watches this. That's so good, Dre. You said so many heavy things or so many gems in what you just said just then, but there's one thing that stuck out to me at the beginning of what you were talking about. I want to ask you about this because I think this is a part of leadership, and I think we don't talk about it enough with people who are entrepreneurs, who are business owners. What are some ways right now you are taking care of yourself? Because you're only as good as I think you're only as good as how healthy you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what are some things that you're doing to in branding, but obviously you're branding yourself, but what are you doing to actually help yourself, deal with the things that's just going on in life?
Yeah, man, I have the four I personally touch on is physical, emotional, financial, and spiritual. Those are my four. So spiritual, I mean, not gonna give you a long cliche answer. I get in my word every day, every morning. I have a Bible app. I'm not gonna say I open my Bible. I have a Bible over here. I don't open it up. I get on my Bible app, won't even lie. I go through a series. And the reason why I do that is because it keeps me, again, that calendar, it keeps me on track. I know when I wake up, first thing I'm starting with. Then from an emotional standpoint, instead of like, because I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was talking about like, and you might have seen it, it's talked about like, a guy asked another guy, how you feeling? He said, I'm all right, and it went through this whole thing. And at the end, he was like, basically saying like, yeah, I'm all right too. And basically them saying like, they both were ignoring all the things actually going on.
Yes.
So the second thing that I do is I say, Dre, how are you actually feeling today? Because some days we're just not emotionally, we're just not there. And so I'm literally asking myself, being honest with myself, and even being honest with my family members. When my dad passed away a couple of years ago, I got to this place where I felt like I had to be everything now for my family. And I said, you know what? You got to be able to communicate to them and let them know, because it was times where they were putting pressure on me. And it was like, we, as a family, we weren't progressing because I wasn't being honest about where I was, and I couldn't handle all that. And so emotionally, I started saying like, hey, y'all, today, I need you to take it. I need you to take it, my sis. I need you to take it, bro. Like, I can't be that person today. So that's number 2. 3, physically, you probably see my stories, the gym at least 5 days a week for me. I recommend everybody, entrepreneur or not, you got it at least 3 days. I don't care if you just go for a walk outside. I don't care if you just, you're on a couch and you just get up, stand up, sit down, stand up. But there's something about that releasing and that energy and just getting your body moving, and just, it's something about it, and it makes you feel better. Because when you work out, you feel better, you look better, you ultimately are in a better mood. And so that's number 3. And the last one, financially, I am so big on self-care, but at the same time, it's like self-care feels so much better when you budget it for it. And so I am a big advocate of having a budget.
Yes.
Because a lot of individuals I love that they do the self-care. That's the great part. But my thing is, if the self-care is, let me go blow $500 this weekend, then on Monday, I'm mentally, oh, I don't have no more money and I'm missing bills, well, that affects the self-care was pointless. So I'm big on budgeting first, then implementing that self-care.
Wow, that's such wisdom in what you just said, because there's a whole industry for self-care. We might need to get in it. We might need to have a conversation afterwards about the self-care industry, and that's another stream of income. But I think that's so good, and there's such wisdom in that. So I'm gonna kind of get to the end, but there's one thing I did want to ask you about with I'm seeing, man, you're doing a lot of stuff, and you're trying to be effective with the things that you're doing. And I know and I don't know, do you have a team around you, or is it mainly just you doing a lot of your work now?
On the Motivational Dre side, it is me. If you add the Man Up side, I do have a team.
Okay, good. Well, some leaders are struggling with releasing that, releasing their abilities to do other things with other stuff. But what I was going to ask you about is what are some ways right now are you looking at, or some hurdles you have seen over the last, few years that you started in this project, that you said, okay, I'm gonna just push through this, or you figured out another way around it? Like, what are some practical things that people can do to push through obstacles and hurdles? Because losing a parent is not easy, right? That's a heavy thing, and especially I don't know where you fall in the children's line. As the oldest child, I know how that is for me, right? That just feeling that responsibility. Anytime I go home, I feel everybody's responsibility in Mississippi. I'm like, why y'all talking to me about stuff? Y'all grown. Why y'all calling me? I live in a completely different state. But how are you navigating some of the hurdles that you are experiencing in business, and how is that affecting you personally?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest navigations, is something that I sometimes forget to give credit to, is having a mentor. And the reason why I say that is because you mentioned earlier about how, like you said, wisdom. A lot of that wisdom, like for me, I want to get to the end goal. I hope it don't take it the wrong way, but I want to get there as quickly as possible. And so for me, it's like,
same, bro. Listen, I'm not trying to wait for nobody else to give it to me. I want to take it by the bull by its horns and get where I need to get.
And that's the mindset. And so my mindset was, well, Dre, you can be hard-headed, and you could fail. What they say, fail fast, fail forward, fail often, fail forward. Will Smith, I think, said that. And so I can take that mindset and just go through all the hurdles alone. But if I have somebody that has already done it, that is doing it, that did all the failing for me, why not plug into them and get to the end goal faster? And so when it comes to what you just said, a lot of it is I have mentors in different areas. So I have my business mentor, which helps me through the business hurdles. I have my personal mentor that has also lost a family member, that also is a godly man who has helped me navigate through different waters. I also have a relationship mentor. I have mentors in different spaces, so that way it's like, wait a minute, I don't have to go through this alone, and I don't have to keep failing. I can, we all have our own hurdles, but it's like I can get to results and things faster. Like even within the business world, it's things that I have not even had to try. Like, I am grateful for where I am right now in the business world. God is God, and it's also, I got to give credit to my mentor who has helped guide me through situations. And then also, again, on the leadership side, I have a great leader mentor who he spent 40, I don't know if you know WashU here in St. Louis. WashU is a prestigious university here in St. Louis. It's it's in the top. And he went to WashU for 4 years to study leadership and development. So why do I need to go to get another degree when I can learn from this guy and when I say this, he's so knowledgeable. When I say he gives me so much value, and the fact that, it's almost, I offer to pay him and we do stuff like that, but it's almost at no cost. You can't pay a mentor enough money because you can't. Whether they invested into business or into tools or into resources, but their experience, you can't pay for that, And so I say that to say, if anybody is out there, I think going through hurdles, of course, going through what we first said, getting to know yourself, getting to know those things. Sometimes a lot of those hurdles are internally when you really think at it. It's not externally that's stopping you from getting there.
Right.
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 So So yeah, so that's kind of, again, on that just, I would say mentorship has definitely helped me through the hurdles. And that's probably, if I have one answer to give, I would give people that answer, to find someone who is doing or has done or been where you want to go.
Oh God, there's social wisdom in that. You know what I love what you said. There's one specific thing that I don't think you realize is profound. What you said is that you have mentors for areas,
Mm.
because we have been taught that we're only supposed to have one mentor and you're only supposed to go to that one person for everything. But if that one person doesn't know everything, what's the point? So you like that just encouraged me and even changed my mindset about the way I look at mentorship, because sometimes people, when they get into mentorship, they start getting, start feeling some type of way when we start talking to other people about, but that lets me know the people that are impacting you, Dre, are confident and comfortable in their space, right? They know who they are enough to not feel like, oh well, all the I gotta do something else because I can't engage with this person because he got four other mentors and I can talk to him about relationships even though I'm a finance guy.
Yep.
But that's not what I need from you, right? And I think that that's so good and so wise what you just said, and I think that will motivate people to take what you're saying into consideration, actually do that, and it's motivating me to make some decisions. So let's get to these last few questions. I kind of sent them to you before, just try to help you out, because sometimes every time I ask these last few questions, people are like, you know what, Lee, that's a good question. I don't know
Yeah.
what the answer is to that. So you kind of mentioned this earlier that you read 23 books last year. What are you currently reading? What are some things
Yeah.
that you're actually in front of you right now?
Yeah, no, I actually got my book right here. Is that I got two that I'm reading. My one more so for personal development and one more so for the business. But the art of living, the art
Hmm.
of living. That one is, man, that one is, it's a game changer. And it starts off like I'm like, I don't go too much into it, but it starts off like challenging how we were even raised from like being born, like born as babies, and it changes the mindset really of how are you going to live your life. It's
Yeah.
about Bob Proctor. I don't know if I'm sure you know who Bob Proctor, or maybe Bob Proctor, though he's really big into like the leadership but more so the business leadership side.
Yeah.
He speaks a lot. Yeah, I love him. And he talks about the paradigm shift a lot. He also talks about what is it, the the 8 senses or something. I forget what the title is, but he has challenged me so much. And so Bob Proctor, The Art of Living, is one of the top ones that I'm reading. And then trying to think, like, because I'm like, I'm in and out of a few different books right now, because sometimes I'm like, I get sucked into just reading business leadership books, and I'm like, you know what, sometimes you gotta, like, yeah, moving around. But I would say, if I was gonna recommend one, I would say that one for individuals. If there was a one book, The Art of Living, that's one a read that no matter where you are right now in life, everybody needs to jump into.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I would
that's
recommend.
the art of living. I need to check out the art of living because,
Yeah.
oh God. Because
And it's one of those books, when you jump in it, you're going to be like, okay, I got to finish this book. It's not like one of those where, because I know you, personal development, it's going to suck you in.
Yes. There are some books that sit back here. I'm like, oh yeah, I read them and then I'm like, wait, might need to read that again because it's some stuff I didn't catch. And
Yeah.
and 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 I'm a weird reader. I like reading about history. I read about political history. I love political stuff, so I'm reading all about that. But I'm also reading public policy stuff and reading leadership stuff. And I feel like I'm,
All over.
yes, like literally all over the place, But everybody has their own cup of tea, right? And it helps them grow, and it impacts the way that they see the world. So, Dre, you talked about your mentorship organization, but what are some other ways you're paying it forward besides that project you have with a friend, the Men to Men project that you have?
Yeah. I mean, right now, I'm ultimately like creating this space for individuals just to learn. So I don't really publicize it yet because I've done it before, but I haven't
It's an
publicized it lately.
exclusive. I got an exclusive. See, journalism.
Yeah. Yeah. No. But I mean, I definitely want to have like at least once, maybe every few months where I do this. But I started something back in 2000, well, probably 2020, no, 19 called Whiteboard Sessions. And we're not in my studio right now, but back there in my studio, they're actually I whiteboard everything. You'll see I have whiteboards, I have chalkboards. Like I'm a big draw. You know, that comes with the strategy and the mindset. And so what I do is I invite now no more than 15 individuals once a month. 15 individuals where we come and we go around the room. Each person that has a business or an idea or this and that, and we all pour into one person.
That's brilliant.
For a certain amount of time.
God, that's brilliant.
Because what I want to create what I see in the future is this ecosystem. When you think about back in the day, you say you study history and stuff like that, they had to barter. You have the doctor, you have the lawyer, you have the person who makes food, the chef, and so it's like, if all of us had these skills, my idea is, first of all, if we help build each other up, we bring more money from the outside into this hub. Then secondly, it allows us to be able to barter, because my thing is in the future, let's say I get married or something, I want to buy a house. Well, you're an engineer, you're an architect, you can buy a house. Guess what? I can do your marketing. So now we have something, not saying we wouldn't pay each other, but now we have something that we can trade on, we can barter on. And so that's my goal, is to create this somewhat ecosystem. So I pay it for it because that's absolutely free. There's no charge to this ecosystem and these whiteboard sessions that we do. And when I say the value, last year alone, because last year was like everybody was at home. So we really started pushing forward. And last year, I think we have like a number tracker and things like that. And I can't go into each person's business, but overall, I want to say that last year, I think it was $343,000 was created within this ecosystem of individuals that, like, within all the businesses. And so for me, that was everything, because like going to politics a little bit, I think a lot of times, and I'm gonna go a little bit, into it when it comes into even our African-American communities, we don't have a say because we don't have a seat at the table, and power, as you know, is money. Yes. And if you don't have anything, if we can't present that, then we don't have a voice. And so when we can bring money and power, then people are like, wait a minute, you have influence now, we got to give you a seat at the table. And so it's a bigger initiative down the road, but ultimately we have to start creating wealth and teaching it. And and so for me in my community, it's not just about us making more money. I tell them all the time, I say, if you're coming here just to make a lot of money, just to go blow at the club tomorrow, don't come in here. This is for generational wealth. Right. This is for you to be able to learn skills and learn about how to put your business into a trust that's going to pay your kids out for 50 years. Learn about, it's things people don't know about out there. And so that's the goal of this. I just couldn't go big too fast because I needed to make sure, first of all, it worked, it was intimate, and that I had the processes, really drawn out. So that's something, I know it was a long answer, but one way that I've been trying to pay it forward.
Listen, that's a great answer. I would love to be a part of something like that, and we need to have a conversation after we start recording about that, because I think that that's very powerful and a great way for people to engage, because there's a lot of fear in just stepping out, and a lot of fear in betting on themselves. There's so many people who could literally be entrepreneurs that just simply won't bet on themselves because of the safety of their job. And then you have these other people who don't want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't think that they can progress in their job, and they don't have vision for themselves moving. Like, they're not adding value to themselves to where it forces their job to have to do something in order to keep them.
Yeah.
I mean, Dre, that's a whole side conversation, man.
Yeah,
I'm just chill. Listen, I was about to go all the way in on that one, but let's get to this last question. So I always ask this question because I think it's always gives me an interesting perspective or interesting view into the way a person thinks or see themselves. So what song would you use to describe yourself, and why?
Yeah, it's funny when I saw that question. It definitely, the song I play all the time came to my head. And it's gonna sound crazy, but I love the song "Congratulations" by Post Malone. And the reason why I like that song is not the part where now they only say congratulations. Like, I don't care about the congratulations and that, but it's really about, like, because it's a reality. So, like, when he says, like, my mama called, seeing you on TV, this and that, it speaks to how vision backed up with action can really become reality. And by that, I mean, back in the day, and we still have videos. My mom shared one with me the other day. We talked about how I used to always talk about, I'm gonna be on Disney Channel, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. And I used to speak about being on TV and all these things. And I never knew how it was going to happen. And so let me say this first for anybody that's listening. You don't have to worry about the how. Quit thinking and worrying about how. People get stuck on the how.
Yes.
What you have to do is say, this is where I'm going. This is what's going to happen. This is the goal. Be flexible about the ways, the methods to get to that goal, and just understand that that is the goal. And so for me, I just got to this place where I just said, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to be on TV. I don't know how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that. I'm just going to keep applying myself in all the different areas that lead me towards that goal. And I did exactly that. And I say this, my mom sent me a video back of the Disney video when I was like, I'm going to be on TV one day and you all going to see, and them everybody laughing. But then, last year, I think was the first time that I went on national TV. Like, wow. And the fact that she called me, it was like, she said, hey, you're on TV right now. That song instantly hit when he said, Mama called, see me on TV. And it was like, wait a minute. It's not about her congratulating me or about me being on TV. It was the fact that I had a vision. I put action behind it. I applied myself every single day, and I'm still applying myself. And now to date, I've probably been on TV, I think 7 times now, national TV 7 times now, throughout commercials, a little small movie, short film, things like that. And so to me, it's more so like the behind the scenes of, hey, when you say you are going to do something, just do it. And don't worry about how.
That's good.
I didn't know how it was going to happen.
That's good.
You know, and so I love that song. And there's other parts in that song I could pull out, but I just say that piece right there is because, again, vision backed with action can ultimately become reality. And that's just like what I eat, breathe, and sleep.
Dre, that was good. I so appreciate this conversation that we've had today. And I hope that people, when they watch this or listen to this, they will recognize that they can go into the world, they can brand themselves, they can invest in themselves, they can move forward in their goals and aspirations and actually believe that they can make a difference. So thank you for coming on, bro. I so appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. This is great.
Thank you for watching and or listening to this week's episode of Leading with Lee. If you have not done it yet, subscribe today on YouTube and all podcasting platforms. To get more information about me and what I'm doing, email me at scottconsultations@gmail.com or follow me on social media on Twitter and especially Instagram at Lee A. Scott II or Lee A. Scott II. Thank you for watching this week's episode. I really appreciate it. Much love, and let's get started.